What's good, my lovely peoples? It's your main man, Silas, the humble servant of the life. I want to do this video for all the Christians out there and those that may not be Christians, but you just have a thirst for knowledge. I want y'all to grasp something. When Jesus was saying that he was coming back, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the Son. He was basically prophesying the gap in time between BC and AD, where there would be complete total darkness on the earth and men would be going crazy. And whoever survived when the sun eventually rose again or was seen again during those times, it would be a glorious day for them. But he had an understanding that the sperm is the spirit and the sun is the same thing, micro and macro. So when he's speaking of the Son of Man, he is speaking of the sun coming back to the earth after being in total darkness for so long. But people don't grasp this. Now, I want y'all to pull out your Bibles and go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 26 through 27. I'm going to show y'all exactly how people read with no understanding. Now, in verse 26, it says, "Therefore, if they say to you, 'Look, he is in the desert,' do not go out. Or 'Look, he is in the inner rooms,' do not believe it." So this is him when he's on the Mount Olives talking to the disciples, and they're questioning him about the ending times, which would be how we get to AD. So you got to grasp, he was never prophesying anything that's for our times. He was prophesying to them the gap in time between BC and AD and the reasons why we started over 1 AD, 2 AD. So it's a simple thing you got to grasp, but you just have to read with understanding. Now in verse 27 he says, "For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be." Now this is where he's basically telling them the sun will eventually arise again. But when he says Son of Man, they don't grasp. But you have to understand, I'm a man. What is the son of a man? The sperm. What is the sperm? The spirit. So he's telling them, if you understand the sperm is the spirit, then you got to know that the sun is the spirit. It is the sperm within the macro being that we are all within. So he is telling them, "For as lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be." Men will be in darkness for who knows how long during that gap of time. So when the sun eventually rises again, they don't know when it's going to happen. You got to remember, he's prophesying those times, not our times. So it's a deep thing. Now, when you go to verse 29, this is where he's breaking down, he's literally talking about the sun. He says, "Immediately after the tribulations of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken." So it's just like I said. He's describing to them when the tribulation takes place, there will be no light from the stars, moon, or sun shining on earth. It'll be total darkness. Then he says, "Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the heavens." The sun will appear in the sky after all that time. "And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." Talking about the sun eventually shining again after all that time in darkness. Men killing each other and all type of shit. Because things don't grow when it's darkness. If it's no sunlight, ain't no food and nothing growing. So you got to understand how bad it got between AD and BC times. So he's telling them when the sun eventually rises again, it's going to be a glorious day. But when he says Son of Man, we don't grasp because we don't know the sperm is the spirit. And the sun is the same thing. This is why the shit I say is so very deeply important. It holds a lot of knowledge in you understanding what the ancients knew because they knew this. So when they wrote things, it is clearly what they saying, but we don't grasp. Now I'm going to take you a little deeper so you can grasp that he was actually talking to the disciples and describing exactly what I said. So go back a little bit to chapter 24, verse 3. It says, "Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, 'Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?'" So Jesus in his mind like, oh my God, they retarded. They think I'm coming back to save them. That's not what I'm telling them. And then that's when he went on to break down what I just broke down prior to this. It's not me. I'm talking about the sun. It's going to be a bad time. Y'all niggas going to be in complete darkness. So he break that down to them, but they don't grasp. So it's a deep thing. But I'm going to read a little more so y'all can grasp, because that's the question the disciple asked him. Mind you, all this time Jesus is teaching them. They still think he coming back to save them. So they still asking him, so when you going to come? So now he going to commence to answer the question and break it down. So now if you go to 23 verse 4, he says, "And Jesus answered and said to them, 'Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and deceive many.'" So basically he telling them, many motherfuckers going to come back and say, oh, I'm him that died. Don't believe them. That's bullshit. Don't pay that no mind. Then he's breaking down what will happen before the tribulation, which is the blank spot in time. The time of darkness, where there's no sun. So then he goes down to break that down. In verse 7, he says, "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places." So all of these things will lead to the sun, moon, and stars being blotched out. He'll be dead already. So he's letting them know, I'll be dead already, and y'all will too. See, peep verse 9. He tells the disciples, "Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all the nations for my name's sake." So he letting them know, after they kill me, it's going to be a whole bunch of bullshit going on. You going to die too. Earthquakes going to happen. Nations going to rise up against nations. This is all the things that occurred that led to the blank spot in time, which is between BC and AD. Then he tells them in verse 14, well, in verse 13, he says, "But he who endures to the end shall be saved." And this is where people think, oh, he coming back to save those who hold tight and believe in his name. And that's not what he's saying. He's saying whoever endures through that time will be saved when the sun rises again. He also tells the disciples, y'all will be remembered forever through this word, because it's going to spread through the nations. And he says, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations. And then the end will come. And this will be the blank spot in time. Well, niggas will lose their mind." That was the end of the world that the Bible is talking about. The blank spot in time between BC and AD. So it's a deep thing we got to grasp. A lot of people don't understand this book. And this is why y'all don't understand me. But if you simply connect the knowledge I have when reading the book, it makes simple sense. You live in AD. How did that happen? The book is telling you how. But y'all think he prophesying about something that's to come for us. Now y'all got to grasp, because Jesus said a lot of deep things. Whether you Christian or not, you still got to grasp what the man said. So I want y'all to go to Matthew chapter 23, verse 16. He says this. He's talking about blind teachers leading fools. So it's a deep thing. Grasp what he said. He said, "Woe to you blind guides who say, whoever swears by the temple, it is nothing. But whoever swears by the gold in the temple, he is obliged to perform it. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold?" So it's a deep thing he telling them. He telling them, man, y'all so stupid. Y'all worship the gold within the temple, but y'all don't worship the temple. Mind you, if you worship the temple, you worshiping the gold and everything else in it. Now he gonna break it down to them how dumb they are. In verse 18 he says, and whoever swears by the altar, it is nothing. But whoever swears by the gift that is on it, he is obliged to perform it. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Therefore he who swears by the altar swears by it in all the things that's on it. He who swears by the temple swears by it, and by him who dwells in it. And he who swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and by him who sits on it. Now what is he saying? He basically telling them, y'all worshiping the water and forgetting to worship the cup. It is better to worship the cup, because when you do that, you worship the water within it. And if you got a half a brain to grasp that, then you should be able to grasp that it is better to worship the table that the cup is sitting on. Because in worshiping the table, then you worship the glass and the water in it. And if you can grasp that, then it's better for you to worship the house that the table is in. And so on and so forth. So this is what he's telling them when he say worship the kingdom of heaven. He basically saying, if y'all gonna worship gold within temples, then worship the temple. And shit, if you gonna worship the temple, worship the land it's on. Like, just go keep being dumb. Telling you, y'all better get on this knowledge. Y'all need to worship the mighty all that all is in. That's what you got to worship. You don't worship little small things here and there in the life. You got to worship the whole of the life. So he breaking it down so cold-blooded to them. This is why they hated him. So it's deep, and I'm not a Christian. But I know real shit when I see it. Mind you, I'm the smartest motherfucker on the planet for a reason. I could grasp. Because I know things already that y'all seem to just not grasp. Like the sperm is the spirit. If you knew that, this wouldn't be a hard book to read. It wouldn't seem like a magical retarded book. He talking about old shit. This ain't got nothing to do with us now. It got to do with how we got here in that blank spot in time. Now I want y'all to check something out, because he was so cold-blooded. I want y'all to see what he said about hypocrites. Because this shit touched my heart when I read it. I said, damn, he speak words like me. Look what he told the hypocrites. Chapter 23 of Matthew, verse 23. He walked up in this shit, cold-blooded pimping. He told him, he said, yo, check this out. I'm going to read what he said first. He said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and you have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. So basically what he was telling them was, look, man, y'all need to check this out. Y'all make sure the laws on paying tithes and paying taxes and y'all receiving y'all money, y'all make sure those laws is nice and tight and good for y'all. But y'all neglect the real shit that's going on. Niggas out here killing, dying, niggas is starving. Why y'all ain't making sure that is good and leaving the tithes and taxes undone? Deal with that first, then get to that. Why y'all doing it the reverse way? Y'all making sure the taxes and tithes is all good, why the real shit is all fucked up about the law. So he was just schooling them on real shit, like y'all motherfuckers is hypocrites. Y'all worrying about the laws on taxes and tithes being great and making sure everybody is getting enforced with that part. Y'all making sure everybody pay their taxes and tithes, but y'all ain't making sure everybody be good to everybody. Which is more important. So this is why they killed him. They hated him. He was too sharp on his shit. And this caused niggas to say, man, he got to fucking go. This motherfucker on some other shit. His knowledge was too deep to challenge. Nobody could really challenge him. He was making motherfuckers look like fools. Soon as they opened their mouth, they say, oh, you eating on the Sabbath, Jesus. That was your own rule. Then he hit him with the, man, what's more important? I'll give you a better one. He helped the old lady on the Sabbath, and they told him, oh, you ain't supposed to work on the Sabbath. That's your own rule. What you doing? Thinking they got him. He hit him with the, man, what's better? To not work on the Sabbath, which is for me, and let the motherfucker die and be all crippled up in the hole? You got to get real. Y'all got to put things into perspective. So he was too sharp with it. They couldn't fuck with his knowledge. It was too deep. They began to hate him. It's almost like me. Motherfuckers be so smart, I ask them a simple question, then y'all see how everybody get mad at me. Oh, Silas always talking shit. But the shit I say be cold-blooded, and the nigga can't say nothing about it. It's just like when I said, oh, go back to Africa. White people the first motherfuckers in life to say that to anybody. And nobody can answer that. Because it can't be answered. It's just real shit. To show a motherfucker you a hypocrite. You speak against white men and then you say what they said. This shit piss people off when you do things like that. So simple. Mind you, they couldn't fully grasp the things he was teaching. He was basically telling them the sperm is the spirit. We all are sperm cells that got egg. Within every person you see is a motherfucking big sperm cell, you could say. The sun is the macro. That is a person, that sperm cell. The sun you see, that is the sperm cell. And it's going to be blotched out from men. And y'all going to be running around here acting a goddamn fool, killing each other after they kill me. So the killing of Jesus was going to bring about the tribulations, where men start going crazy, killing each other. The sun eventually blots out, and there's no light on earth for a while. And this will bring about pestilence and famine and killing. And then when the sun eventually comes back, men can get back on with their lives, whoever's left. The startings overs of the life. The shit I keep trying to teach y'all about. But y'all don't grasp. Y'all think Silas say dumb shit. But let me tell y'all some deep shit. Every day the sun rises and then the sun sets. Now understand, the sun is the spirit of a person, right? So now ask yourself this. How every day when the sun rises, how you know that it's the same spirit or sun? Y'all need to get on my level, man, and stop playing games. It's a lot that I got to offer.